Okay, so noting the time and presence of the quorum, we'll call the Boxborough Select Board meeting to order. Because this is a remote meeting, we'll do the roll call for being present. We'll start with Diana.
Present.
Jennifer.
Here.
John.
What's present?
Les.
Present.
And folks is present as well. Okay. We don't, or the only announcements we have is that this Sunday we have Springfest. Looks like it's going to be exciting, and we're about to hopefully approve some permits. So people will be able to have even more fun than just standing around in a field. So getting to that, are there any citizens' concerns? Becky. Oh, hold on.
That's okay. I'm unmuted, I think. Can you hear me?
Yep.
Okay. Two things. First, before Cheryl even left, I asked her to add to your announcements. On May 22nd, there's a celebration for John Fallon's retirement from being moderator for 18 years. So I'm going to send that to Rajan again, and maybe he can make sure it's in your announcements every week from now going forward. My other thing is I sent this letter 2 weeks ago about an accountant, and I know that maybe the person we had wasn't great, but you guys are going to be asked to vote on Article 5 tonight. And Article 5 is yet not complete because we only finished getting stuff this morning on the debt service. So FinCom's going to vote it tonight after Gary takes a stab at it tonight. Or FinCom's going to vote tomorrow after Gary takes a stab at it tonight. I just don't think I can stress how important it is to have a 40-hour-week person in the office with municipal experience. And I don't care if they have 3 heads. I don't care if they're the most unpersonable person in the whole world. If they know the job, that's the most important thing at this point. Because quite frankly, we've done the budget, as you all know, and many of you grouse about. But if we hadn't, you wouldn't have anything to vote on tonight. And yet we still got 4 budgets last week at 9:30 on Tuesday night. So we haven't even finished voting budget yet. We need a full-time permanent town accountant. And I can't stress it enough how important this is, because tonight you guys have to vote because you don't have another vote before the article goes to print. And you don't have a finished Article 5. So that's my, 2 cents for tonight. Thank you. And I'm going to stay on in case you have any questions about Article 5, but that's it.
Thank you. Are there any other concerned citizens? Okay. We'll get to the first item of business, the Springfest permits. I'll entertain the motion to approve the one-day liquor license for Boxborough Regency for April 3rd with a rain date of April 10th.
So moved.
Second.
Okay. Any other discussion about this? Nope. Okay, great. Diana?
Lopari, aye.
Jennifer?
Campbell, I.
Les?
Fox eye.
And John?
Markowitz, aye.
Okay, and then I will also entertain a motion to approve the one-day liquor license for.
Wes,
True
did
West
you vote?
Oh, folks, aye.
Sorry.
Good call. Nope, that's right. Yeah, so folks, aye. Okay, so then I'll entertain a motion to approve the one-day liquor license for the True West Brewing Company LLC for April 3rd with the rain date of April 10th.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, Diana? Diana Lepari.
Oh, sorry, didn't hear you. Lopari, aye.
Jennifer?
Campbell, I.
Les?
Fox eye.
John?
Markowitz, aye.
And folks, aye. Okay, so now I will then entertain a motion to approve the one-day liquor license for Pony Shack Cider for April 3rd with a rain date of April 10th.
So
So
moved.
moved. Oh, or second.
Okay, moved and seconded. We'll do Diana,
Lopari, aye.
Jennifer,
Campbell, I.
Les,
Fox eye.
John,
Markowitz, aye.
and folks, aye. Okay, wonderful. Wow. I'm sorry. No, I was just looking at the times on this thing, so I didn't update the times on here, so it says 8:05 is town meeting.
Oh,
But yeah, no worries. It's just a small thing. Okay, so we have the proposed changes for the personnel plan. Sheila, would you like to start with that for us?
Yeah. So first of all, I believe I need to call a meeting of the Personnel Board to order because we have a quorum here. And so with that, I'll do a roll call vote and ask for the members present to indicate they're here by saying present. Keith Lyons,
Keith's here.
Bill Latant,
Bill's here.
and Tracy Sierra. Tracy, can you unmute?
I'm here. Tracy is here. Thank you.
Okay,
Sorry.
Thank you. Sure. No problem. Okay. So, so I think everybody has a copy of the draft of the warrant. And so I think that's probably just the most helpful place to start because it's kind of just the summary of everything. And that's the thing that you're ultimately going to vote on.
You want me to screen share?
If you want to, you can, or I can do it.
Okay. I made you a co-host, so you can
Okay.
share too.
Okay. Okay. Sorry. Okay, sure. All right. So, so this is the draft of the article. And basically it's divided into three parts, and changes to the administration plan, adding a position to the classification schedule, and then the wage increase. So we sort of walked through much of this last time, but not all of it, I believe. So you also have I think you have a copy, a full copy of the personnel plan with the red lines, like, so it shows you every single little change that we would be adopting in terms of like the grammatical clarifying changes and things like that are in there. So stop me if you like, because I don't necessarily have it in front of me, but I can easily tell you what page we're on. But the first, I guess, change of note is under Article 5. It's called the Position Classification Plan. It is in Section 3 and 3A. We voted to change the word allocation to classification. We just felt that provided some more clarity and consistency in the way we use the terms in the plan. So, the next one is in Article...
Sheila, just so
Yeah.
everyone knows that change you just talked about was on page 12 of our packet, and then it just keeps going from there. So if anyone wants to follow along.
Thanks, Jennifer. So then Article 6, the pay plan, Section 2. This, again, language was provided by Carter. It's to amend the title of the section first to promotions and reclassifications. It's mainly to address how an employee's pay rate shall be determined if their position is reclassified to a higher grade. So for the purposes of the warrant, in this case, you'll see that the language that is remaining is in plain type. The language that's being struck is in strike through type, and the language that's in bold is the added language. So the added language in this case is that says when an employee is promoted or the position they hold is reclassified to a position in a higher grade, the employee's salary shall be increased to the minimum rate for the higher grade. In the case of overlapping ranges, the promoted or reclassified employee shall be increased to the step immediately above the employee's current salary step. So I think we sort of went over that one last time. Stop me if you have any questions. Otherwise, I'll just keep going. So the next one, it's in the same section, Article 6, the pay plan under Section 7. This language removes, basically what this does is this removes any language that says that the personnel board or the select board or annual town meeting would vote on whether or not an employee receives a step increase. So right now we vote on this at annual town meeting. Do employees receive step increases? This would actually remove that requirement. And step increases would be determined based on whether or not annual reviews had been conducted or not. There is language in the personnel plan about employees meeting proficient status. That's like at the very end of the plan. But basically, what it had said before, so again, looking at the struck language, on an annual basis, the select board, in consultation with the personnel board, will determine whether step advancements will be granted to employees who are paid under the classification and compensation schedule. So what we did is we removed this language and replaced it. We wanted to replace it with language that indicated that we felt strongly that there should be a review process. However, we also didn't believe that the review process should be overly prescriptive and didn't really belong in the personnel plan. So we landed on this, in consultation with Carter, we landed on this language: this employee step advancement occurs annually, provided that annual reviews have been submitted pursuant to the employee handbook by June 1st. There is an employee handbook. It has not been updated recently. We would need to turn our attention after this to, again, with Rajan and Carter or somebody from select board, whoever, to updating the employee handbook to have like acceptable language around reviews. So this wasn't really something we talked about last time. So I'll just stop there and see if there are any questions about this.
No, I think that's good. And we're in just a second, John. But yeah, I think that we also do need to update our employee handbook as well to kind of discuss the difference between grievances versus complaints and what the merit of a grievance is versus that, among other things, just to make it clear, because I feel like it's better for, even if people don't like it, for it to be clear rather than leaving some ambiguity there and people not really knowing. So I think this is a great approach. John?
Yeah, Sheila, I just had a question. It says the employee step advancement occurs annually. Is it based on a proficient or above review? Is that gonna
Correct.
be
I
in
mean,
the handbook?
that's essentially the language that would be in the personnel, then in the employee handbook.
Okay, great. Yeah, that's fine. Yeah,
Yeah.
I think you've done a fantastic job, everyone that's worked on this.
Thanks, John. Yeah, I mean, it was, initially the language did say that, and then it was, again, it felt a little prescriptive for this document. So, yeah, Diana, or you can call him Diana. I don't know.
No, it's fine. Diana, then Les.
Okay. I just want to say, I think this is a really great way to go about it. And the employee handbook, as Wes said, does need a lot of, well, not a lot, but it needs some review in certain areas to make things a lot clearer about the grievance procedure, but also to really make the review something that employees can look at and have real, guidelines for how they are going to be reviewed, so that they're given in advance an idea of what these various terms mean. And I know you guys, you've done a great job so far, and I know you will continue to do it after town meeting or after you've finished with this to revise that handbook. And I appreciate all of that work that you've done.
Thanks. And then, I don't know, did somebody else have a hand up?
Yeah, I have a question.
Sure, Les.
Going back to John's question. Previously, there was a requirement that the employee receive at least a rating of proficient in order to advance annually. And that language is going to be going away here, be stricken. And the only requirement is that some review has been submitted following the employee handbook. So my question is, if I understand this correctly, that means that an employee who is not doing well and is in need of some remedial help or whatever would still get the advances on the step plan. Am I correct in that interpretation?
Not necessarily. Again, it would be language that we agree upon that goes into the employee handbook. So it could still say in the employee handbook that they would need to meet a proficient rating.
It's just moving it out of the bylaw and into something that's more of a living document than requiring town meeting or approval.
Okay, but that doesn't quite tie off with what this language says. It just says that some review following the employee handbook must be submitted. It doesn't say.
Well, it says
what the condition-
pursuant to the employee handbook. So if the employee handbook then says, in order to get a step increase, you need to have at least a proficient,
Right.
that
So
would be pursuant to.
we would
Okay.
hope that.
So you're gonna address it there then.
Yeah, we'll address it there, and we would hope that because I do think that potentially people are going to have this exact question at town meeting. Our hope would be to have updated language in the employee handbook by town meeting that we can point to that says this is the updated language in the handbook.
Okay, I think it's good to have that tie. I just want to make sure.
I agree. Yeah, because if somebody went to look at the employee handbook today, there's nothing. And I think the last time it was updated was maybe 2018 or so, when we started sort of separating, because it used to have like the personnel administration plan actually had like all those, the sexual harassment policy was like an addendum to the plan and things like that. So, but then, we said, well, we have to pull that out and put it in the employee handbook. And so when that started happening, that's where the handbook kind of started to be created. But something like this can go into a handbook and not be, like I said, so prescriptive.
That also
But we felt that this again created, I think it's important for people to understand that this is a step to trying to create parity with the way other people are paid in town. So.
Yep. And I mean, it also allows you to, if we choose to go to merit-based increases, it does not permit us from saying in the employee handbook, if you are advanced and or top performer, you can have 2 steps. Like that allows us to be adaptable in that means as well. In terms of recognizing performance. John?
Okay, yeah, great, thank you.
Yeah, John, did you have another question?
I'm sorry, Sheila, I did. I think so the fact that we're going to make adjustments in the employee handbook, do those adjustments require approval from the select board or annual town meeting or just the personnel board?
That's pretty ambiguous.
Okay.
So it definitely doesn't require town meeting approval.
Okay.
And it's definitely, it's not really a personnel board document to the way I understand it. We helped put together, I think, the initial document, but I believe it's a document that, so I don't 100% know. So
Just curious because I think it's great. I like the idea of being able to be flexible with a document so that you can be flexible. You can adjust as the environment changes. I mean, the hiring situation for municipalities has dramatically changed over the last few years. And we're experiencing that right now with the difficulty with finding people. Okay. People just don't exist.
Right.
And a lot of people would prefer not to work in a municipality. Okay. So we do need the flexibility to be able to make changes, to be able to attract people. And I think that the handbook allows us to do that. I'm just curious as to who has the final say of what's in there.
Yeah, I think it could be the town, the the town administrator with input from the personnel board, and then that the select board has final approval on the employee handbook?
I think that makes some sense, that the personnel board, working with the town administrator, make a recommendation to the select board to accept the following changes. And then the town administrator has to justify it.
Well, and
That
because
makes some sense.
one of
Yeah.
the issues, of course, has been, is getting, one of the things that makes this change hard is getting the actual performance reviews, right?
Exactly right.
That's been the challenge, right? As long as I've been on this board, we've been talking about talking about reviews. So, so getting these actually accomplished is the tricky part. Part of this, I think, it feels like, there could be some, what did we used to call it? Managing up, so that, employees might sort of say like, oh, by the way, don't forget, I need to have a review because,
Right.
I'm not going to be eligible for my step until I've had my review.
That's right.
And I think it creates more, pressure or, for the select board to be able to say to the town administrator, these have to be done as well.
That's right. Yep.
And we should create an easy process. I mean, it shouldn't be something that, is, requires whatever. I mean,
Yeah, no, so it just
a
shouldn't be
7-part
like,
form.
Well, Sheila, thank you very much. Thank you.
Jennifer, were you responding to John's question? Because I know she raised it during his speak, or should I let Diana go? Okay, Diana and then
can go.
Jennifer.
Yeah, I was responding to John's question because I have really delved into the personnel plan, and this is
Okay.
something the employee handbook would require review because it is a policy and a procedure of the personnel board
Okay.
and created by the personnel board, and obviously it's referenced in the personnel plan. So I think what Sheila and you were discussing, John, going through the town administrator, making a recommendation to the select board, but ultimately the select board would have to approve it, any changes, and should approve the document that you come up with before a town meeting, so that we're all on that same page and we're all working along those lines. That's what we're trying to do, is codify those kinds of decisions, and definitely it is in select board review.
Okay. Thank you.
I think that it's kind of an HR issue, not the personnel plan, the employee handbook. And, since I think it seems like it's in the town administrator's office to at least agree to it, if the personnel board does the work on it, that's fine. But I think, I don't see it as falling necessarily under the select board, except for the fact that select board oversees the town administrator. And something we talked about last time was when you do update the employee handbook, to make sure that anyone who has a position where they manage somebody, that's required in their review.
That's right. That's
to
right.
make sure that they have done their employee reviews. So, I think that's another form of pressure. But this looks great, Sheila. Thank you.
Sure. Thank you. Okay, so I'll move on. The next, again, same article 6, the pay plan, section 11. Again, I think we showed you this language last time. Temporary out of grade work. This is a new section. This would create section 11. That an employee who's working out of grade for more than 10 business days would receive an additional 5% of their base pay for the period of time beyond the 10 days. But in no case shall they be paid more than the top step of the higher grade position, which would normally and ordinarily carry out such tasks and responsibilities. So that's that one. And then Article 11, leaves of absence. So again, Article 11, this is probably a few pages long. This is the first section. It simply adds the language and regular part-time. And I did try to clarify, a regular part-time employee is one who works fewer than 20 hours during their regular work week. So people would understand that. So again, this person, so a person in that class would earn a prorated amount based on their amount of time worked. So that would be the first vote. That would be the first vote that we would take, is on these changes to the personnel plan. Then the second vote would be on the classification. Oh, actually, okay. You know what? I'm sharing. Sorry. Okay, I wanted to show you the document I actually emailed you, because I made a little edit in case we do something different. I just wanted to show you be consistent and show you the document I emailed you. Okay, so this is the second vote, which is adding a position. The personnel board met last week. We were given 3 job descriptions: the associate town planner, the assistant treasurer collector, and the executive assistant. We went through the rating process where we rate and grade a job description. The associate town planner, we rated and graded at a level 13. The assistant treasurer collector and executive assistant, however, based on the job descriptions we were given, we could not arrive at a grade higher than 11, which I know was not the intention, was not how these positions were planned to be paid or anything like that. So that's why they're in red. I immediately put them in there for like a footnote for myself, because just to say, don't
Sheila,
forget.
I'm not seeing that on the screen. Did you
Do I need to make
document your
maybe I have to stop sharing and then we share. Oh, I didn't share. Oh wait, no, I did share. Hold on, let me just share again and pick the right document. You might be seeing the other one. Sorry. Okay. So now you see it with the red. Do you see the red now, Diana? Okay.
Yes, we do.
Okay, good. All right. So the associate planner. So then so these are, again, based on the March 18th, 2022 job description. So we did, it's complicated. we did have an assistant treasurer collector position job description that was previously submitted to the personnel board back in February of 2021. So that was submitted to us by Ryan prior to the last annual town meeting. That we did rate and grade at a level 13, which again was not exactly where we were going with this job description. So I just wanted to say, like, that had been voted on a year ago, and nothing ever happened with it, because for different other reasons that we can go into if you want, but it just, but again,
You don't need to dig up the past. We just move forward.
Yeah. So there is a different job description. I guess my point is there is another job description out there that is fairly up to date and that we could potentially use. And then finally, the executive assistant, which I didn't really have anything else to go on. But I haven't received an updated or amended job descriptions. They just weren't simply robust enough. They didn't really require, they just, I'll leave it at that, like without, they weren't robust enough to warrant a higher grade, in our opinion. And so so at this point, I think we're out of time, and the only one we can really recommend go on to the plan for this annual town meeting is the associate town planner, and the other positions would have to be considered at a later time at a different meeting. And I know their hands up all over the place.
Jennifer, John, and Diana.
Okay, so looking at those two positions separately, first of all, the executive assistant position is not an increased headcount. It is just a reclassification of a current position. That I would feel comfortable tabling because we don't currently have someone in that position. As far as the assistant treasurer collector, I realized you guys got that new description from the current interim town administrator very late. However, we do have a rated 13 job description. So we could choose to use the old job description and just so that we can move forward in having that position be filled. And I understand that that's not the job description that the current interim town administrator wants, but is our interim, and we do need to fill this position based on the staffing plan. So that is one suggestion. Yes.
Just my understanding, and Rajan, can you correct me if I'm wrong, but I do believe we have somebody for currently coming in for the assistant treasurer collector, and this was just the new job description to fit the new staffing plan, or?
They're coming in as an administrative assistant for the treasurer collector's office. So that was how the position was advertised. So that's what they're coming in as for this position.
Okay.
So we have some, yeah. So that doesn't require us to add a new rating. So we could table both of these then.
Well, I also just want to make sure no promises and/or considerations were made for this to convert the position into an assistant treasurer collector.
No.
Okay.
Okay.
John and then Diana.
Yeah, so Sheila, I just had a question with regards to the executive assistant.
Mhm.
Did we have a target grade that we were hoping that position to be?
I think it was a 13, honestly.
Okay. And so do we understand what would have to be put into the job description to make that happen?
So the things that tend to make the job descriptions more robust, or require nudge it up on the grades, is the amount of education required,
Mm-hmm.
the amount of experience coming into the job.
Okay.
So would you hire somebody already with 1 to 3 years experience, or would you say, like, this job already day one needs somebody with at least 5 years or at least 10 years of experience, right? So something like that. Then it has to be absolutely clear what the level of risk and responsibility is. So there's a kind of it's hard to show you, but there's a chart that has like
I'm familiar with the chart. I looked at it with how all the jobs were ranked before. So yeah, okay.
Right. So like
right.
if you have
yeah.
if your job has like a high liability, right?
Right.
And what so it moves over. So that like tends, and I think that this job probably does have that. It just isn't expressed very well or clearly in the job description.
Okay. Okay. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Diana?
Okay. At the risk of hearing the phrase, "this is the way we've always done it," one more time, I'm going to make this statement one more time myself. And that is that the personnel plan is very clear that the personnel board can grade a position without having to go to town meeting for approval, as long as there is the proper, well, let me put it to you this way, the level that there is a grouping, a grade that is available for that type of position. In other words, you don't have to create a whole new group. There is a group that it would satisfy or come under. And it's very clear, the position versus the grade. You don't need to create a new grade here. All you need to do is assign these positions, classify them, and put them on the personnel plan. In addition to that, there is also a procedure by which someone can, and that is what the grievance procedure is meant to be, where somebody, an employee or a department head, could come to the personnel board and say, "Hey, we don't like your position, the grade, where you've put this particular person, grade and step, and we're asking you to amend that." So part of my problem with putting this in the warrant is that it creates an unnecessary step that I don't believe is called for in our plan. I don't think this should be subject to a vote at town meeting. It's not necessary. If we were going to create a whole new category, yes, that's something else again. But these jobs can be graded with the existing compensation schedule. So I would say, why do this at all? I mean, it's an unnecessary step. I know we've always done it, but the fact of the matter is you don't need to do it, is what I'm saying. So maybe we can just eliminate it and just move on with the job description, get a better job description, grade it better, however we want to do it, and not force ourselves to constantly have these things approved at town meeting, which makes it extremely cumbersome and difficult and gives the town a lot less flexibility.
Did you
Yeah, I mean, I don't have
have,
any comment to that. I mean,
okay,
it's just-
that's fine.
yeah. So,
I mean, I think that's a fair point. But also, this is also going to be changing the reclassification. So these proposed changes would also change the reclassification process for that as well. So just keeping that in mind, because it wouldn't take effect if they reclassify the position until the next fiscal year, if I'm reading this bylaw changes.
right. Well, so right now, so the what's in red, we did not vote on. Like the only thing that would be going in the warrant or like is even on the table right now is the associate town planner. So I think what Diana is saying is that in theory, like, you know, I think
It's totally fine. If we remove the red stuff and then just leave the one position, because it's a new position.
correct. It's a new position. Right. So we don't need to add any, if I understand correctly, you know, we don't need to add any, you know, as Rajan was saying, like they hired somebody for the assistant, for the treasurer collector's office, she's going to have the I don't know who it is, the administrative assistant title because that's, you know.
That's what they were brought in as.
Yeah. So I don't know, but I mean, to Diana's,
no, that's totally fine.
look at it more closely. If you're adding a new title, again,
I think what this is fine, and I don't think that Diana was necessarily saying we need to act now,
right.
but not necessarily saying don't like put it in for the future.
Right.
But I did have a comment, I guess, and I just wanted to. I apologize in advance if this is not, I guess, the best way coming forward, at least. And so I think that, and I don't really want to see the town get caught in a pickle. Whereas we are effectively prescribing things based on what the job description requires. And so moving towards more of like a 21st and or 22nd century, or 21st century. Yeah, okay, so 21st century, not the decade. Kind of hiring and being able to be competitive in this market, because I do believe that in the near future, we will, as a municipality, have to start competing with private firms and or companies for talent. And so being able to be more adaptive and or recognize people's past experience and the value that that brings, while maybe not required by the job, but it does add and alleviate other shortcomings within the organization as a whole. And I just want to make sure that we as an organization, being the town, don't necessarily handicap ourselves from recruiting. The best talent, I guess, is the best way to put it. And that's not necessarily anything that we can solve here, but more of just a comment on our grading process. And that's nobody's fault by any means. And it's just more of a editorial comment in that nature, because as we start to, as the number of people who are retiring increase and the workforce reduces, we're going to have to start getting creative to attract and retain talent. And it's not going to just be on pay, because we can't just increase all the steps. Maybe it becomes, do we offer more vacation time for people? Do we offer more perks or small benefits? What is it? But a lot of times when they come into town, also, recently we've seen an increase in people negotiating for their starting salary. And so I don't necessarily want the town to be bound and or handicapped and turn down people that passed the interviews with flying colors because we can't make an adjustment or what have you. And so losing talent because we as a town can't be flexible. So that's just my editorial opinion, I guess, is the best way to put it.
I know Maria wants to say something. I was just going to say, though, that, you know, the one thing I will say about this process is it does create, and I think we always have to be aware of this is it does create equity and some parity and transparency for taxpayers and among employees and across the way people are paid, so whether you're unionized or non-union, that there's equity here. And transparency, like how, that the same people doing similar kinds of work or that, it takes into account, like, okay, your job is more dangerous than my job, but my job requires more education, that there's a method to sort of, put those on a similar playing field, right? And I think that's an important thing. I think that's important that the town, maintain that and not, there's very good reasons that we have this. And I know it's different than the private sector, but we are different than the private sector.
Let me rephrase that then, because I think my message might have missed. What I guess I was trying to say was, like, right in the private sector, you have bands. So if you're like a software engineer 1, you have a range of 50 to like 75,000, let's just say arbitrarily. And then if you're engineer 2, the band might be 55,000 to 85,000. And so what I guess I'm trying to say is, when you get hired and you do your negotiations, you have these bands, but effectively what happens is you don't lose out on a squabble because of 15 cents or $1, even up to $1 per hour, I guess, is what I'm trying to say. And if we as a town are trying to create a good, I guess, organization, that was just my main concern, is I don't want us to be hamstrung because we have to say, you need to start on step 1 at this, just because this is how we work. Because I've also negotiated title changes, extra vacation, all that stuff, but people can't do that because of the personnel plan, unless they go under contract with the select board. And so that's, I guess, where I was coming from, and I poorly conveyed that in my first iteration.
Anyway, okay, so Maria, I know Maria's had her hand up for a while. But
So I have a couple of comments. Diana is right in that the personnel board can regrade a job that is currently on the compensation schedule without going to town meeting. But the assistant treasurer collector and executive assistant positions are not on the compensation schedule, which is why it's on this to go to town meeting to be voted to be put on. And so if the job descriptions that were provided and the job description that I believe the question was asked straight up to Carter, there is a job description on file from February 21. He didn't want to use that job description. It's different. But so with respect to grading, that is correct. If there's already a job on your schedule, you don't need to regrade it. This is new positions being added to the compensation schedule. And I think it's about transparency. People need to understand we're adding these new positions and they're needed. I don't know if anyone's arguing whether or not they're needed. And quite frankly, there was a real effort to try to get this to grade out where Carter had budgeted it. And the only reason we knew that it wasn't grading there is because it was budgeted differently than where the gradings came in. And then with respect to Wes's point, Wes, I know this is a little prescriptive, but the chair of the select board and the chair of the personnel board and the TA can make changes to where people start on the salary scale, depending on various factors. And it's not that difficult to do and has been done multiple times in the recent past. So, and that includes vacations. It includes if I have 2 years experience rather than being on a step 2, because I'm coming from the private industry, maybe I start on a step 4 if I have something else that I can give to the town. So there are mechanisms by which you can make those changes.
That's fair. Sorry. I'll let you finish.
So those are my only points. But the biggest point for me is, I know, Diana, you're right about the grading, but new positions have always gone in front of the town. And it is a matter of being transparent with the taxpayers, because people read this and understand it. And they, an assistant treasurer tax collector will garden to the question, hey, that wasn't on the scale. And people can vote on it. And if they think it's reasonable, then it goes on. And if they don't think it's if you can't make the case that it should be on, in this case, Carter, then it doesn't go on. But it's up to the boards and the select board or the TA to make the case for new employees so that it's as transparent as possible. So that's all I have to say. Thank you.
I guess, thank you, Maria, for your input. I guess mainly where I was coming from is after reading the personnel plan, while there is the ability to bring people in outside of STEP, it doesn't necessarily bring them in outside for vacation time as well. And that would technically require a contract change or contract from the select board. And so that's mainly what I was getting to. And so I understand that, like, I look at everything as like a total compensation package and not necessarily just where you like step 1, step 2, step 3 at grade, whatever. And so that's mainly where I was coming from.
Thanks. Diana?
Yeah.
Okay, I don't want to start, an argument here because that's not my intention, but I do want to make it very, very clear. It is specific language. I've read it out to everyone before. I don't have the personnel plan in front of me now to be able to read it, but it comes under the heading of assigning new positions, not regrading, assigning new positions. And it talks about new positions can be assigned by the personnel board to the compensation schedule as long as there is a grouping that is capable of being assigned to. The only reason it has to go for further confirmation at a town meeting is if there is no appropriate group upon which to put a new position or within which to put a new position. Now, when you get to the issue of transparency, or we've always done it this way, that's a different issue. I'm talking about what is technically in the personnel plan, which gives a lot more flexibility. And bear in mind, any new position can be put on the compensation schedule by the personnel board, but it has to be appropriated. The money for that position has to be appropriated at town meeting. So you can put all the positions you want on the compensation schedule, but the money to fund that job has to be voted on at town meeting. Clearly, that's where the issue of transparency is solved. So I just want to make it clear what I'm talking about here, because it's certainly possible then to talk about that position in the context of the budget and point it out in the context of the budget. These new positions have been added without having people vote or having to wait to have those positions assigned. As we found this year, particularly, there was money available, had already been appropriated. That position could have been filled instantly at this new title. So that's why I'm making the statement. I don't want to go back and forth. I think it's all about reading the wording, and it's all about starting to follow our own plans and what they actually say.
Thanks. And then Jennifer, I guess.
Yeah, we have a lot to do tonight. So can we just focus on reviewing the changes that the personnel board has made and thanks.
Yeah, sure. Absolutely. Okay. So the way the warrant is, and I actually have it for you. I already made that correction, so I can resend it. I know you have to vote on this, or if you guys just want to delete that red part. So then we would also remove from the position, the temporary per diem and intermittent schedule, junior library page, fire department chaplain, gym director, and call fire chief. The gym director is now combined with the winter sports director. And we just remove those for, again, so that the thing isn't twice as long as it would otherwise be if we didn't occasionally cull from it. If the positions have been empty or, with no intention of being filled. And then so that would be the second vote. The second vote's essentially now just going to be to add the associate town planner to the schedule. And then the third vote is the classification and compensation schedule wage increase. And this is to vote to that all employees would receive both the step increase and a 1.9% wage adjustment effective July 1st. Employees on the temporary per diem and intermittent schedule would also receive a 1.9% wage adjustment with the exceptions of a counselor in training, a counselor, an assistant animal control officer, winter sports director, specialty instructor, snow plow operator, specialty instructor, level 2, and summer recreation director. Also, okay, sorry, I should say at the top, on the regular, full, reduced hours and part-time employees classification schedule, the employees who would not receive a step increase in a 1.9% wage adjustment would be the DPW foreman, DPW worker skilled, and building and grounds maintenance worker, and DPW worker semi-skilled. Does that make sense? Does everybody understand that?
Are those union positions now?
So that is because they are in the process of unionizing.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. But they need to remain on the schedule because of however the timing works out. So then the temporary jobs, and then the employees receiving a stipend would not receive the 1.9% increase except for the meeting secretary position, which would receive a 1.9% increase. All the changes are reflected in the document, which I can pull up in a second, which would be in the warrant. It's always printed in the warrant, the classification and compensation schedule. So the personnel board, of course, recommends vote 1. We voted that 3-0. And then the second vote was 3-0 as well. Those were both taken recently. The one on the wage increase was voted in December at our December 14th meeting, and that was a 5-0 vote. I can quickly share the spreadsheet. So this is what the schedule looks like, reflecting just the one new position. This is the per diem. This 130.43 a meeting is the new rate. And these are budgeted at 19.47 and 25.47.
So the meeting secretary is a decrease of about $20.
No, it's an increase. It's of about 3.
Okay. Oh yeah, because it was 127.
It was 127 and now it's 130.
Is this taking into account the extra long meetings, I guess?
Yes, correct. Yeah.
Fair enough. Thank you guys for taking on this.
All right. So are there any questions? Yes, Diana.
So given the fact that we do need to hire someone for the assistant treasurer collector position, or whatever we may call that person.
We already have that position filled, Diana.
And is that position currently rated according to?
Not as an administrative assistant, no.
Administrative
assistant
assistant for the treasurer collector's
Is it within
office.
that salary range is my point.
So the difference is this one is non-exempt, meaning they get paid hourly versus the non-hourly, and that's the difference currently.
Okay, so we're okay, we're covered at this point.
They accepted the position as an hourly job, so.
Okay. All right, I just wanted to make sure that we were covering the person that we've just hired or are planning to hire. So, okay, that's my question.
So what do I need to do next? Do I send you the warrant article with the red wording removed so you can vote on it tonight?
Yeah.
Well, we can vote on it without that.
Yeah.
Because I did save it without it as well. I have a saved version.
So it really is just once it goes into the warrant, that's when it matters. But if what you're recommending and what I believe that the board is intending to do is to vote it without the 2 positions that are in red.
Correct.
So I can make a motion unless, is there anyone in the select board who wants to separate the votes, or can we do it all together?
Well, we're not at that part yet. We're just
Okay.
understanding the changes, and then we'll go through all the voting for that kind of stuff.
All right.
But yes, thank you guys for all of your work.
Okay, so I'm going to call, and then I'm going to adjourn the personnel board meeting.
You are free
I
to
have a
do
second?
whatever you want.
Second.
And then all those in favor, and then we have to do a roll call vote. Tracy, Sierra.
Sierra, aye. Yes.
Keith, yes. Keith Lyons
Lions eye.
and Bill Latant
Aye.
and Sheila Bauer, aye. So this meeting of the personnel board is adjourned at 7:59.
Thank you. Thank you.
Diana, you had a question?
Thank you.
Or is your hand still up?
No,
accidentally?
I just forgot to lower it. Sorry, Wes.
Oh, no worries. Okay. Sorry. Okay. Can we take like a 2-minute quick recess? Okay, thank you guys. I had the issue right before the meeting, so I wasn't able to use the restroom. So I just would like to use the restroom because I ran down here. I was like, it's 7:02. I need to show up. So if that's all right, like
Yes.
2 to 3 minutes, and we will be right back.
Okay.
Sorry, I'm back. Yeah, the dogs were playing rough earlier today, and so I got this huge gash, and it just wouldn't like stop. And so I was like 6:59, and I was like, oh god.
That looks painful.
Yeah, after this meeting, we'll be clipping all the dogs' nails.
Mm.
That was from the nails? Oh, my goodness. Wow.
Spa day for the dogs.
If that. Okay, looks like everyone's back. Thank you for being accommodating. Okay. So, Jennifer, I sent you a spreadsheet earlier, and I think I CC'd Rajan on it in terms of tracking the votes. I can use that as well to track it, or Rajan, let me know if you want me to keep track. everybody had a chance to review the warrant. Does anybody have any questions before we start going through it? I guess.
I just want to know if we're going to start from the beginning. I know we took some votes, but I have a concern about one of the votes that we did take, so.
Okay.
So
Jennifer,
things
did you-
aren't, oh, sorry.
I was
Go
going
ahead,
to say,
Joe.
did you make any changes to the sheet that I sent you, Jennifer, or can I just share
No.
the one that I did? Okay, nope, that's fine.
Yes. Can I just say that the warrant is not totally numbered, and we should also, just because there were some changes made, we should also consider the order as we're going through and what things need to be in a consent agenda, whether it's financial or whatever. So, thank you.
Yep. Let me find where I saved that.
Yeah, so Wes, I had one question. I know the budget's not finalized, so are we gonna vote on that tonight?
From my understanding, effectively, I would say that we can. If people have some caveats and or what they would be uncomfortable with, that's fine to vote against things that they might be uncomfortable with. So long as they were clear and concise with stating their caveats or concerns. And if they put them in the dissent as clear and concise as possible, that is sufficient as well, unless people would like to hold it. Otherwise, we would need to have another meeting sometime this week until we get clarification from that. So,
Okay, thanks. Thanks very much.
yep. Okay. Oh, I can pull this up, Rajan, unless you want to. I don't really.
I already
But
got it
thank
up.
you for-
This is it right here.
Yep. Okay. Great. Okay. So just sorry, it's really cold in the basement. It was a cold day. I don't know if anybody else thought that as well.
So Wes, my concern was about the third one, set salaries and compensation. The other two
Yep.
I'm fine with, unless somebody else wants to go back there.
Oh, yep.
Can I talk about?
Okay. Go
Yeah.
ahead.
I have had some concerns because when I looked at that initially last week, I think Becky said something like the numbers would change or something. So I just assumed when I looked at it, it wasn't set. And then I went back and I looked at it again and I saw the $400 or literally the 2,000 that would have come to the select board. And I remembered that we had voted against taking it. And then I looked at the budget and I saw that indeed it is not budgeted. And I don't think we should be setting salaries and compensation in Article 3 that is not budgeted for. And so I know last year we did not do that. Those were set at 0. So I would, if it's going to stay this way for whatever reason, because it is FinCom's article, I would have to vote against it because I don't think we can.
So the article's not set in stone, so we can set the select boards to 0 for this current year. And would that be sufficient?
Article 3. So I don't know. I didn't have a chance to check the other boards to see if what was and what was not in the budget. And that's my question. So perhaps the people that have done the budget know exactly which boards have voted or not voted. I know we'll have a new town moderator. So John has always voted, it did not take it, but there'll be a new town moderator coming up for that fiscal year. But there's the Board of Health, there's the Planning Board.
Well, the Board of Health you have to pay because I think that's mandated. Or is it? I don't know. Becky? No, it's just,
Well, you don't have to pay the Board of Health, but they opted to take their salaries. The library board didn't. I think the thought was if somebody could always run for a position, even if the current board doesn't want to take it and will be entitled to it. So because that was the will of town meeting, we don't budget for it. So it's not in Article 5, but it is in Article 3. So like your $2,000 is not in Article 5. Neither is the Library Board of Trustees. The school committee, the planning board, and the Board of Health all have theirs.
But what the article actually says, Becky, is at the end, it says that the volunteers do not have to take their salaries and can decide to give it back to the town. It's assuming that we are all taking them. And so it also, suppose all of a sudden 5 members of the board decide to take their salaries and there's $2,000 that haven't been budgeted for.
That's why we put it, well, that's why you're right. That my husband would tell you we should budget for all of the salaries because of that exact reason. However, we have asked, especially during COVID, we asked trying to cut fees down. We could go back and re-vote and put them all in if you want, Diana. But to me, it makes
one way or the other. I mean, we can just vote not to take them. It's up to the FinCom, but I just find that they need to match. And also, it's a disconnect. That's all. One way
I
or
don't
the other.
disagree. And they should probably be actually in the budget. We were just trying to save raising and appropriating money.
Yeah. Then if that has to go in the budget, then put it in the budget, because at least it would cover the eventuality that you're discussing. And for those of us who have voted not to put it in the budget, we will just not take it, and it will go into free cash. So that would be my feeling about it. Otherwise, I would vote against this article if it's not consistent. So you tell me what we should do.
John, do you have a question relating to this discussion? Or?
Yeah, I do actually, Wes. I thought the board had a discussion about not taking the money, but we wanted to try to put it into maybe a select board budget so that we could reward town employees in some manner.
I think that was about more of like a future thing in terms of like also providing some benefits for I don't want to say non-unionized employees because that sounds punitive, but typically when you have a union, you have like fundraising drives for things like that. So,
Wes, can I tell you, it is in your budget. John's right. It is now under events. You used to have $750 under events. You now have $2,750 under events. So
Okay.
your salaries have been raised. I mean, basically, but they've been moved.
yeah.
If you don't
Okay.
want
Because
them
I
in
had
Article
asked
3,
Carter
then I
to
would
do
say they
that.
have to come out of Article 5 also.
So I did ask Carter to look into, and Carter and Rajan to look into moving ours to the town hall budget and or other ones to appropriate for that, but. Okay.
So it is, I mean, we just moved your money. You had your salaries, they just got moved to town hall events.
And I think that'll be important over the next year as we look to kind of solidify things, at least in the short term.
Thanks,
Hopefully
Becky.
keeping it for the long term. Okay, Diana, does that satisfy your questions just before or do we need to revote this?
I guess, well, again, I'm unclear where we ended up. It's in the events, but it's not in the salary. So I guess it's been budgeted for. What about the other departments? Have they been budgeted?
Honestly, it's such a small amount, and that was in part of my dissent, that literally it can be rearranged at the end of the year through a vote.
And they're also elected boards, and you guys don't have a lot of control over elected boards' budgets.
Right.
Yep.
Okay. All right.
Because we don't want to raise and appropriate.
Okay.
So again, I just wanted to. So if we vote on this, does this mean that we're voting for the $400 for each of us here, even though the money is going to be in Article 5?
So there's a difference. So Article 5 increased the town hall budget.
Yep.
While the amount is similar, it does not necessarily tie to our stipends. So I don't necessarily want to commingle the two, right? Because what I had asked Carter for was an increased budget for town hall events and all of that stuff, because we got such good reception from there. And so what I had also said was that, you know, if we repurpose the select board budget to do this for town hall, that could be a way to pass it to the voters and say, look, we're foregoing payment in terms of appreciating and recognizing town employees. And so that was a I think that's why we have the 2,700 at this point in time.
Right,
Wes,
but
I
does,
didn't hear your explanation as to why you voted against it on last week.
For me,
Yeah.
it's in the pack. It's in the warrant because I submitted the dissent article, like the dissent one. But effectively, it's really the first thing that I ran on, and mainly saying that we get taxed on these stipends federally and state-wise, and so at that point in time, even if you're in the lowest tax bracket, which is, I'll assume that people in Boxborough make more than $14,000 a year, you would be at about 20% federal and state combined tax. And so at best, you'd be taking home 80% of whatever your stipend is. So now, not only that, but do we add overhead and administrative costs for additional W-2s? Yes, we do. We are also adding time and effort into collecting information for W-2s and a whole lot of other overhead. And so I was also saying that at such a low amount, and maybe this makes me sound bougie, but it's such a low amount that it's more symbolic than anything of value. And that's why I voted against it. And that it's not substantial enough after taxes to provide anything for the people running, nor should it be a means of attracting people. But if that's the intention, then they should increase the amount. But my stance is that we don't necessarily need to have stipends. And many other towns around us have also foregone stipends for elected officials where it's not necessarily required by state law.
okay, so Wes, now that that's been explained like that, I'd like to make a motion that we revote as a select board this warrant article.
Second.
What is the wording on the article? To take it or not take it?
It's just to set the salary, or Maria?
To just set the level?
Yeah.
So the wording on the article is just to set the salaries. So if you vote this down, you are voting down the salaries for every position, I believe. So if it's a majority, recommend against constable, town clerk. I don't know that you can vote the other boards, but I think the town clerk, you would be voting down that salary. You'd also be voting down the constables, like $3 fees and
Right.
stuff. So
that-
this is
that is
just
not
to
my
set the
intention.
salary. Yeah, so just be
So-
careful with that. If you're all going to vote against this, know that at least 2 members on that list might not get paid.
So in my recommendation against it, I said, other than the required salaries and or full-time staff, I do not believe that elected officials and or volunteers should be taking a salary. And so my intention was at town meeting floor to amend the motion for Article 3 to set all required by statutory law and or full-time to $0 per year. That was my intention. Full disclosure, that was my intention, and I was going to do it, but
Except for other elected boards, because we can't tell them.
oh, we
whether or not.
can. We can. So I can say the
Alright.
planning board, school committee, all those. The only ones that are protected are the treasurer or the town clerk, the constables, and I think that's because I made this motion before I ran for select board, and John Fallon at town meeting told me that I couldn't change the constables and or the town clerk. And I remember that very vividly because then right after there was a motion to increase some of them. And so I was like, well, fine, I'm going to go take my seat. So,
All right, so should we vote since we have a motion on
John,
the
do you
table?
have another comment before we take a vote?
I just want to say that I understand Maria's point, and actually I was going to talk about the town clerk salary. But I think even if we vote against it, we can make the point that we're voting against it because we want to amend it and amend and talk about what that point is. I don't think we would put anything in jeopardy because after all, it is subject to the vote at town meeting.
We have John, Jennifer, then Becky.
Yeah, so Wes, I'm going to withdraw my motion because I think it's just going to get too confusing.
It's already
If you-
very confusing.
I think if you want to make an amendment at town floor, we can do that, but I mean, Maria's right. I mean, if we were to vote against this, it would get confusing as to what are we voting for, who's impacted, all of that.
Did you read my recommendation?
I did. Wes, I did. But I'm just thinking a lot of people will just look at what the recommendation is, and then there'll be more debate on town floor than we might need to have.
Okay.
Okay?
Yep.
So I withdraw my motion.
Okay.
Okay, we
Becky,
put,
did you have a comment? Or
I was just going to
Jennifer,
say, if
then
you're
Becky.
not going to support it, then I would support taking your $2,000 out of events tomorrow night, because we're not going to have a salary to offset it. I mean, I'm trying to save money everywhere I can. The budget's up 4.8%. And so, if you're
That's
going to
trailing
increase
the current
everybody else, then
inflation
let's
rate of
decrease
9.
$2,000 out of that. I guess that would be my feeling. So, and I'm only one person. It'd have to go by the whole FinCom, but.
So Becky, you're saying you're
Okay.
going to take the $2,000 out of the events.
No, we're moving on, I think, right now, unless.
Okay.
That's what I'm saying.
Okay, that's what I thought you said. Okay.
Okay.
Okay, I make a motion to accept the changes to the personnel plan as we discussed this evening.
second,
Second.
Okay, is there any other discussion? Okay, then we'll do a roll call vote. Jennifer?
Campbell, aye.
Folks, aye. So we'll go in this order just to make it
Okay.
easy for John. We'll do Folks, aye. Markowitz?
Markowitz, aye.
Lepari?
Lepari, aye.
Campbell?
Campbell, aye.
And Fox.
Fox eye.
Okay, motion passes unanimously. We don't currently have the
Also, do you want to
bargain?
go ahead and discuss who's going to do the recommendation so we can start filling that out too?
Let's fill that out. Let's go through all of them, and then we can fill out that earlier just to keep it kind of streamlined, unless there's somebody else has any other thoughts regarding that, or
Well, I already wrote a draft pro, and you already
Okay.
drove the con. So if people want to look at what I wrote
not-
for pro.
oh, that's for the one prior. This is the personnel plan. I
Oh,
was in
sorry.
support of it. So yeah, let's deal with the recommendations after,
Okay.
unless anybody has a strong objection. Because this way we can just hammer it out and then say, okay, then we can see who voted for it, against it. Okay, so then accepting the first year of collecting bargaining agreements, I'll entertain a motion to approve that.
You want to do the budget?
Okay, yep, nope, sorry. The town operating budget. So I will move to approve the town operating budget.
Second, but I want to talk about it.
That's fine.
Big time.
Yep, Jennifer, you can start off.
Well,
And then
first of
Diana.
all, Becky just said that the increase is 4.8%, but the version that's in our packet is 4.6. So I don't even know if we have the latest version.
You don't. Gary redid the debt because we didn't have a correct debt number. And to include the debt from last year that included Liberty Fields, the fire truck, and something from DPW, it bounces it up to 4.8%.
Thank you.
I would say we're trailing inflation by about 4.5%. So that, in my opinion, is a good thing.
Well, that could be.
It's going to bite us next year. So,
Okay.
Diana?
Yeah. So first of all, I have a comment overall on the budget and then also a specific comment about the police budget. Well, why don't I start with the police budget first? Because I don't think this is going to change. It is my intention to vote against the budget with this caveat that I am fine with everything else, assuming something happens that I will talk about secondly. But I do not believe that the FinCom and the police department should have put back the $77,000 that was voted at town meeting to come out of the budget. And it includes the $55,000 for the cruiser, which at this point I think it's not something that we should be bringing in, given where we are with the police department the situations going on right now. I believe everything needs a good solid look at. There's been a lot of public information about the use of these cruisers and impacting the mileage on these cruisers. And I'm not going to go into that tonight, but the thing that I most object to, and this was actually something that the FinCom encouraged as one of their goals, was specifically to put back the money that was taken off at town meeting. And I think that is disrespectful to the voters from last year who voted that 77,000 down for whatever reason, whatever they thought it was incorporated in that amount. It's nonetheless 77,000 was cut, and it was immediately put back to the penny, except that the PR firm was then deducted from that amount. And if you go in and you look at it, you'll see it's exactly 77,000 minus $2,140 or something. So I will vote against it. But I have an overall comment on the budget, and I'm sorry that I did not have I just got to looking at a lot of this today. I didn't have a time to call anyone. There are a lot of mistakes in the budget. I found two with a very cursory look, including the debt service on 710. The cells don't add up for last year's budget. There are a lot of cells that have been eliminated. A lot of things have been put in by hand. If you look at the summary on the first page, last year's budget is not correct. It references, if you go into the cell, it references a version from this year, version 2 of the budget, and the numbers are wrong. And I am concerned that the budget, and believe me, I know you guys did an incredible job. It was extremely difficult. You did not have the benefit of having someone like Jennifer Barrett to come and help you and give you a presented budget. I understand all of that, but we are talking about a $27 million budget, and we are talking about numbers that have to be correct. And when I see problems coming from some of the worksheets coming incorrectly into the budget, I wonder if everything is correct. So my feeling about this is that however it happens, before this goes out, we need to have someone look at the budget, look at the cells, make sure all of the formulas are correct, make sure the numbers track, because the last thing we want to do is put an incorrect budget out there that could be audited down the line and we find serious deficiencies. And it's not a reflection on the FinCom. I know they did their best, but I still think that whether or not I was going to vote against it because I have the other issue with the police budget, but I do think that that is something that needs to be done before we put this in the warrant, because the schedule is going to be put in the warrant is wrong for last year's budget. It is wrong. So I just want you to know that, and I want you to look at those numbers and also look at the debt service from last year. It's wrong. The numbers are wrong. They don't add up correctly. So those are my comments.
So just to possibly, I don't want to say short circuit, but and this may be an unpopular opinion. Typically what happens for people that are watching and or going to be watching, if we choose to raise and appropriate this, and then we either don't use it or whatever, it gets returned to free cash, which then future years we can deduct from. And so I don't want to say this is sloppy budgeting and or sloppy appropriation.
Wes, I can't hear you very well. I'm sorry.
Okay, so I don't want to say this is lazy or sloppy appropriation budgeting, but typically things get smoothed out, like kind of like the stock market. You don't typically invest for like the short term, or some people do. Sorry, probably a bad analogy. In the long term, things even out and they correct themselves. And so I don't know, especially right now, I don't know if we have the ability to go back and review all this stuff by the time it goes to print. And personally, and I will say this at town meeting floor as well, that I would rather not necessarily overly raise and appropriate, but I'd rather err on the side of raise and appropriate as it gets returned to and or using free cash to handle the differences in terms of where people put in numbers or where they're not putting in numbers, or there's over appropriation or under appropriation. But in generality, sorry, I swallowed the wrong way. I would say that I typically approve this budget, but I do concur with the addition of what was removed at town meeting floor. And so I will say that I will be approving it, but putting, or if not writing the recommendation for the approval, requesting an addition that states in the approval of the budget that it is not happy with the additional stuff that was removed by town meeting and not put into a warrant article itself to see whether or not the town would want to have it. So that's just my personal stance. John, Jennifer, then Becky.
Yeah, so I attended many of the FinCom meetings, and I know how hard they worked. I know how many hours they put in. They worked very long and hard with minimal support. Okay. The only comments that I have personally, I would prefer to wait and have FinCom approve a budget, and then we take a vote. I think it should go in that manner. The other thing is, with regards to the cruiser, I strongly feel that it should be a capital item. It should be a separate warrant article, because last year it was presented to the public and the public was able to take a vote. And if I look at the items that we have in our capital, that are capital warrant articles, we have a warrant article for a capital item of $1,500. Okay. We have another one for $5,000. We have another one for $7,550 or $7,500. I mean, I think that it should be pulled out separately. It's a $55,000 item. There was some discussion, I think, at one of our last meetings. I think Les mentioned items that are depreciable should be pulled out. And clearly a cruiser is a depreciable item. It's a capital item. Pulling it out, letting the voters decide, do we want it or not, is perfect, is transparent. It's transparency for the taxpayers to understand where their money is going. Right now, they don't see that. And I think we owe it to them to pull it out as a separate warrant article. That's my only, and we can decide, the public can decide, okay? And I think that that's fair for the taxpayers.
I'm gonna agree with John for his one point about the process, and that is letting FinCom vote on this tomorrow night at their meeting. I suggest that anybody who can attend from the select board does. I found it really very helpful to listen to their last meeting, to their discussions about the different warrant articles, because I think it's really important for us to understand their perspective from a financial point. So I don't know if I have to withdraw my second, but I'm going to say, no one wants an extra meeting, but this is way more important than we're giving it time for right now.
Yep.
Okay, then if there's no second, then the motion dies, and we can move on to the next one.
Oh, wait, Wes, can I say something first though? Because you will
Sure.
vote this at some point. And I think it's interesting because Carter's the one who told me that I would not have a hard time putting this cruiser in the budget this year. And I actually moved to reduce it, and he told me to increase it again. So therein lies part of the problem. The other problem is you should have your accountant come talk to you about any discrepancies in the budget, because we've done what we can, but the accountant would be the person you'd want to talk to about that, not me.
Okay, and then we'll move on to the first year collective bargaining agreements.
Okay.
I move to accept the first year of collective bargaining agreements, or to recommend that we select, how do we want to say it? What, I move to,
Move to recommend the article.
thank
Right.
you. Move to recommend the article about first year of collective bargaining agreements.
And I'll second that.
Okay, folks,
Well, we don't have any. So,
Markowitz?
Exactly.
Well, so I mean, but so Diana, the main thing is I would say typically in executive session, you give the town administrator parameters. And so long as they do not come in above or around that, there's nothing, you typically would approve it, but everybody's their own person and
so you're saying this article gives the select board and the town administrator the ability to approve them?
well,
That isn't how I read it.
no, so this is approving the first years of the collective bargaining agreements. And so in that, what you have is we've had executive sessions discussing parameters for negotiation. From my understanding, the negotiations have not gone outside the parameters discussed in executive session. And from that, it would be expected that you either approve it or deny it based on what was recommended and or voted during executive session.
Wes, can I ask why you wouldn't defer your recommendation to town meeting?
I mean, we can do that too, and we can also just wait because we're also going to another meeting as well. So,
But that's what the warrant says, I think, because I wrote the language based on what John Fallon told me. And it's like, as of the printing, we don't have settled contracts. We will base any recommendations and defer to town meeting is what John told me to put in. So that's what I put in.
that's fine.
It sounds like
I'm
a
fine
good
with that.
idea.
Yeah. So,
Withdraw your motion.
yeah. Well, we're really moving through this.
Well, no, I mean, I
The
do have a
motion was
question about,
John, and so you can make a new motion, John, if you want.
I had a question about the summary. Oh, never mind. Never mind. That's okay.
Because
Never
those are
mind.
not necessarily there. Yep.
Okay, never mind. I'm lowering my
So the
hand.
fire addition to staff. So I will move to recommend the fire addition to staff as proposed in the warrant.
Second.
Okay, is there any discussion about this? And as I stated at the FinCom meeting, I do not believe that the town will be getting the SAFER grant. I need to formally write this recommendation because I will be voting in the affirmative for this, but I want to be as clear and straightforward with the residents as possible. That I do not believe that we will be getting the SAFER grant awarded to us. However, I do believe that adding additional EMTs is important to the town. Is there any other comments, Diana?
Yeah, I will be voting against it. I don't believe we should be adding staff at this point without a full understanding. I don't believe we will get the SAFER grant, and I agree with that. But having been on FinCom, I think people don't quite understand that it isn't simply adding a salary and even compensation. It's adding clothing, protective clothing. It's adding all kinds of equipment. It's adding, additional things which come in under the contract. It's pretty, cleaning fees. And so, I mean, there's a lot of things which are added over and above the salary. And I'm just not convinced that we should be adding staff at this point. I think we need to take a breather this year. So I will be voting against this.
Is there any other comments or discussion before we take a vote? Okay. Then we'll do the roll call vote. Diana? All right, no, me? Yay. And then we go Markowitz,
Markowitz, aye.
Lepari,
Lepari, nay.
Campbell,
Campbell, I.
and Fox.
Fox, aye.
Okay. Then I will entertain a motion to recommend the associate planner.
So moved.
moved. Second.
Okay, so Diana and then Jennifer. Is there any discussion about this? Oh, okay, I'll say yes. John?
Markowitz, aye.
Diana?
Lepari, aye.
Jennifer?
Campbell, I.
Fox, aye.
Okay. And then we have the town hall staffing. I'll make this motion, I guess, to approve the three. So Just a question for the select board. Is there anybody who would vote against any of these ABC, or can we lump them all into one? Diana, you have your hand raised?
Oh, I'm sorry. I keep forgetting to drop that little guy.
Okay. Maria, is your comment in regards to the last vote or this upcoming one?
This upcoming one, I sent,
Okay.
because we've been doing all the articles, and I sit on the personnel board, I sent an email to Jennifer, and I'm not sure if Jennifer, if you ever touch base with Carter, but based on the job changes, C is actually not $5,000 because embedded in that number is $1,524 for the executive assistant and an additional $662 for the assistant town treasurer, which now is not being voted in on the personnel plan. So that $5,000 should be decreased. In addition, Jennifer, I don't know if you made any of these changes or if you brought any of this up to Carter.
I did not get a chance to today.
So Carter wrote this Article 9 with an increase for $11,253, when in fact, if you add all those numbers up, A, B, and C, it adds to $98.59. So those numbers are incorrect. And then he provided notes. So we were able to kind of go back in and pull up, I was able to pull up the background for the budget because we were trying to figure out on FinCom what ultimately all of this is going to mean for raise and appropriate, right? And so these numbers are not correct. And particularly C needs to be decreased because of the decrease in the position or because of the two positions not being added. Does that make
That's all
sense?
fine and dandy. Yeah, I would say that's all fine and dandy, I guess, from my perspective, and I don't really want to be like a terrible person, but the dollar amounts don't really matter as much to me as the fundamental changes, which are moving from 19 to 19.5, adding floating hours and job changes.
But I think that's
And so-
why the article's done in 3 different steps, because I know that
Yeah, that was for the FinCom and not necessarily a request by the select board.
well, it was because I think FinCom had talked to Carter and said if it's
FinCom
all
asked
lumped
them to break it
together.
out.
Yeah, so we did. So I'm just saying that right now, that article is $2,186 higher than it's supposed to be. You
That's
guys can
fine.
vote these numbers as is.
I'm not voting the numbers. What I'm voting is the principle behind them. And so if anybody else on the select board has an objection to that, that is fine. And then we can vote them as A, B, and C. And I have no objection to that. But at this point, mainly what I was voting was the principle of the warrant articles, not necessarily the budget amounts, because as we've discussed with other items, there's going to be back and forth a little bit more until it goes to print.
Okay, well, I will tell you that okay, that's fine. I'm doing recommendations and I won't vote for this if these numbers aren't correct tomorrow night because FinCom is worried about the numbers, right? So with the principle of it, we all agree on these changes, but we're worried about the numbers. And I know it doesn't seem like a lot, but it's a little bit here and it's a little bit here and it's a little bit here. And all of a sudden, it's a lot more than just a little bit. So if you're going to vote those numbers, but that article's not changed for tomorrow night's meeting, I don't know how that'll affect the vote at FinCom. I just want to put that out there. I sent Jennifer this last Thursday.
Thank you.
Yeah, so, okay.
We have John and then Jennifer. Oh,
Yeah,
this
so
has not
let's-
been seconded yet, and so there's no, technically, we don't have any
I'll
discussion.
second
So
it.
okay. So Wes, I actually agree with what you're saying because it actually ties into what we were talking about previously as it relates to the personnel plan and the flexibility that's required in this job and in this hiring environment where it's very dynamic. This provides some flexibility for the town in terms of hiring people at the right levels and at the right salaries. So I would agree to put them all together.
Well, I guess mainly what I was asking is, does anybody object to lumping them together? Okay. Then Jennifer, you have a hand raised to discuss it?
Yes. Maria, I just want to say I'm sorry I dropped the ball on that, and I will correct those numbers because I think you're right, FinCom needs to vote on the correct numbers. So as long as when the select board is considering this, we realize that those numbers are off and we're basically voting on the principle of it, I think that's fine, but it's about $2,000 off, like Maria said. So we need to consider that because we should consider the finances as well as the principle of it. But Maria, I will have that corrected before you guys vote tomorrow.
So then, is there any other discussion? Okay, hearing no other discussion, I will vote yes. John?
Markowitz, aye.
Diana?
Hari, aye.
Jennifer?
Campbell, aye.
And Liz.
Fox, aye.
And then I'll entertain a motion to recommend the police and fire injury coverage transfer of 35,000 for raise and appropriate.
So moved.
I'll make
Okay, and there's a second.
second.
Okay, so is Diana that moved it? John Markowitz seconded. Is there any discussion about this? Seeing no discussion, we'll go to a vote. I will approve or I will recommend. So yes for me. John?
Markowitz, aye.
Diana?
Hari, aye.
And Les.
Did you forget me?
Jennifer? Sorry.
Campbell, aye.
And Les.
Fox, aye.
So I'm wondering if maybe a way to speed things up. Is there any of these that people have non-affirmative requests for the following articles? So going from, let's say, lines 4, or I can talk about 14 because I feel like that's kind of important. So 15 through is there any articles, like maybe going in the sense of town meeting, is there anyone that anybody wants to hold to add discussion to from the select board? Or because I just want to try and figure out where we can have the discussion, but then not necessarily bog down other things. Diana?
Yeah, Les's article about the town hall PFAS, it's not that I would vote against it, but I do want to make a comment in the, I'm sorry, Rich is calling the
So
dog.
we'll hold that one.
Oh,
No,
yeah,
don't worry
just
about it.
Hold it for a second, because I do want to make a comment about it.
Okay, so then I guess we can go through these just for simplicity's sake.
Wes, can I just mention, you don't have the Sergeant Road bonding on here, just so you don't
Okay.
forget it.
Good call. We're going to be having a meeting later this week as well, apparently. Dan, is your hand raised for additional comment or just from the original? Okay.
It's that old, I'm sorry.
Nope, no worries. I don't think that then, so I guess we'll do the cable services, and then I think that we can do, or I don't want to run afoul, but I would like to find some formal way of just going through the rest of them and just quickly doing it. And so I would say, okay, so for the cable services and equipment, it looks like it's funded out of free cash.
No, it's not.
Okay.
Why don't we just make
Okay,
a
no,
motion?
these are just out of line. Okay.
But can't we just, I mean, unless somebody feels they want to discuss it, can't we just make a motion to accept the police fire injury coverage, transfer the cable services and equipment, the transfer to, in other words, go down the list, or do 5 at a time?
You can do that. Go ahead
That
and do
would
that.
be easier. I mean, do 5 at a time.
Let's do 5 at a time. So you want to do that, Diana, then?
Yeah, I make a motion to accept the cable services and equipment warrant
Or to
article.
recommend. To
recommend, excuse me. The cable services and equipment warrant article, transfer to OPEB trust fund, the revolving funds, acceptance of Taylor Farm Road, and the acceptance of a gift of land. Chapter 90. No, the chapter 90 is part of it, right? Yes.
Yeah. Do we have a second for those?
Second.
Okay. Becky, you have a comment?
Yeah, Wes, I know it probably doesn't matter to you guys so much, but you've got to flip-flop, transfer to OPEB and cable services with free cash. and
Yeah,
cable funds.
that's not, so that was my copy
That's,
paste.
I just wanted you to know.
Everything's bumped down by one, if everybody looks at it. From there on, it's bumped down, so it was cable funds and free cash. Not the.
Oh.
Yep, so this is bumped down by one, so please forgive my copy paste errors in Excel.
Okay.
Les Fox?
Yeah, on the acceptance of a gift of land for nominally $1, council needs to advise on whether that $1 should stay there or not. As Jonathan told me, it's essentially a gift, even if you charge $1 for it. The $1 is a standard term in a deed
For
that
private sales?
addresses whether or not there's some consideration that somebody didn't expose at the time of the transfer. So council may advise that that doesn't come out of there, but that's stricken. It's going to not require any appropriation. That's the main thing.
Okay.
But
So
Jonathan's going to
then-
have to review all this stuff at some point, right? So
We
Yes.
can always change it on town floor and or other things, but I know we've gone. Yeah. So is there any other discussion? Okay,
Nope.
so I'll vote yes then. John?
Markowitz, aye.
I believe it's
Diana.
Diana.
Lepari, aye.
Jennifer,
Campbell, I.
and then Fox.
Okay, I move to recommend the
Well, hold
CPC.
on, did Les say?
Fox,
Yes.
aye, yeah.
Okay.
We move to recommend the reserves for the CPC fund, the CPC BRAP fund, the CPC Conservation Fund, the CPC Cemetery Fund, and CPC regarding Sergeant Road, the 400,000.
So, or second?
Second.
Second.
And can we add the bonding in then after the CPC article? Not for this group of votes, but just in general?
We can.
Oh,
This
you have
is at
that
the
on there.
bottom.
Okay, yep. All right, thanks.
But do we need some wording for that? That's my question.
The bonding will have wording, but effectively, from my understanding, and so this is a recorded meeting, the intention of everybody would be, we have the two articles, one approval
Okay.
of CPC and one approval without,
Okay,
with that understanding. how
okay.
people would vote. But right now, we have the CPC articles, so is
Yep,
there any
okay.
discussion about these CPC recommendations? Okay, seeing no discussion, I will vote aye.
Markowitz, aye.
Hold on.
Lepari, aye.
Campbell, I.
And then Fox.
Fox, aye.
Okay,
Okay, I recommend, I make a motion that the select board recommend the article regarding building improvements for the fire department building. Also for the fire department investigation of cisterns, the fire department truck grant, the DPW dumpster, and the DPW roads. That's the next five, I think.
Second.
okay. Okay, and then is there any discussion about any of these items? No? Okay, then I will vote to recommend aye. And then we have, I think it's,
Markowitz, aye.
yep,
Lepari, aye.
Campbell, I.
Fox, aye.
Fox. Okay, and then we have the Steel Farm Ice House, which I think we're still looking for, so does anybody mind if we table that? Or do we get
It's also
clarification?
down to 3,000. They
Okay,
did provide and it should be in the warrant, a revised article that included the summary. So there's some roof replacement that they need to do in addition to painting, but the correct article is 3,000.
okay, and I think we're still looking for clarification from council whether or not this is a town and or private
Right.
building. So then I will also, we should pass over this for now as we're having another meeting.
Okay, I recommend, I make a motion that the select board recommend to accept the warrant article amending Article 11 from 2020.
Second.
But that should not say bonding. There is no money required
No.
there.
No, this is just bumped down from where I copy paste failure. So you
What?
can remove bonding.
There's no
So
bonding required.
I know.
Yeah, ignore
So I'm
that.
saying I copy pasted. So when I copy pasted into the cell, article cable services, so row 14 should have been cable funds and free cash. And so everything else got bumped down. And so there is no bonding for it. So that was just my mistake. So is there any discussion about this article?
No.
Unless your hand's still up. Okay. Then I will vote to recommend. Aye. John?
My vote's aye.
Lepari, aye.
Campbell, I.
And
Fox, Fox eye.
Okay. And then we have this solar bylaw, the MS4 stormwater. Yeah.
Okay.
Well, we were gonna do the water resource. Diana just had a question, right?
Yeah, actually, I had a comment. I really wanted to put something in the warrant article, and I don't know if you can modify the article itself or if there is some way to put a comment in. I just feel that every effort should be made within a reasonable amount of time to see if there are any grants available for this work, over and above, what we know about at this point, because I don't think we knew anything about it. It hadn't really been investigated. And I just think we could possibly get some grants for PFAS remediation. I don't know if Les has had a chance to do any further research on it, but I just would
No, I
like to-
haven't. So
But that
we
also
haven't had a
requires
chance to look at
Town
that.
hall staff time as well. And so I just want to be.
Right, I understand. I'm just saying,
Prioritization. Yeah.
would like us to take that seriously as opposed to just jumping on it from free cash. I mean, I don't think a delay of a couple of months is going to make that much difference in the long run.
Well, getting the authorization to use free cash, that doesn't preclude you getting a grant and then not need the free cash.
Right, exactly. I just want that to occur. I just don't
Yeah.
want it to just.
By the way, this is not going to be the water resources article. This is the select board's article.
Uh-huh.
We own town hall.
Right. So Les, my understanding is that your estimate is based on
No.
what?
Amend the article is water
That was
resources.
previously passed.
The town hall
That
PFAS.
says, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
Okay. Sorry, John.
Yeah, no, my question, Wes, was that your estimate for the amount of money, is that based on?
We're still waiting to get quotes. One of the persons that I contacted has gone silent on me, and the other hasn't come in yet. So I don't know where we're going to get a firm quote. That estimate is based on what the church did for their situation.
That's what I thought. I thought that, and their solution's working, correct?
As far as I know, it was actually turned on the other day, but I've not been in town to talk to anyone. I haven't talked to Ron Vogel lately about it, but it should be very close.
Okay. Okay, I just think we should have those answers for town meeting, right?
Oh, absolutely. If we
definitely.
can't get 3 quotes, we can't do anything.
okay.
Okay.
So then we have the other bylaws as well.
So can we add some wording in there that the town will make every effort to pursue any grant funding for PFAS remediation?
We
That
could,
could
but
be in the summary.
does somebody want to add that wording in the?
Are we talking about 32?
I'm talking
Yes.
about town hall PFAS, yes.
32, yep.
So I would recommend we pass over this for now. Because I don't know. Yeah, Les? Your hand raised for this, or?
I think a number of people are expecting the select board to deal with the well at town hall.
I get it. So I
Right.
guess my main concern is asking for us to pursue grant funding, right? Because that also requires town employee time, and then other things like that. And then on top of that, should we get denied that, that only pushes out and delays these things. And if
Well,
this is
that's right.
something that we feel a moral and ethical obligation to fix, I don't necessarily know if looking for grants and or other things is at the imperative level of the ethical and moral obligation to fix that. And so that's, I guess, where
Yeah,
my
I
deviation
agree.
from that would be.
I agree.
So what are we going to do? Pass over it, or are we going to vote on it?
We can vote on it, but I guess I would pass over it if you're looking to add a rider of looking for any and all grants, because I'm not necessarily sure that Town Hall at this point in time is equipped to handle the application for any and all grants, et cetera. And I don't really want to leave us at a means of doing that. And so, or
I get your point.
making that a requirement.
Yes, I do understand what you're saying. I just think that there's, this is an issue that is quite right out there right now, and I don't think it's going to take a lot of, either we will qualify or we won't. But, I would hope that people would do that anyway. If it's a question of not wanting to put it in the article, fine. But it's not that much money when it comes right down to it. But
I think we're trying to set a good example for people, and this is something we can do. Free cash we can spend. A grant we might not get. It takes time and effort to get a grant.
Well, so yeah, so just so like while we made discount from my perspective, while I made discount town employees' time as we were already paying it, it does take away from other projects. And as we are short-staffed in the short term, I don't necessarily know if that's the best option right now. And in other years, if we had a fully staffed and all that town hall, I would support that. But at this point in time, I don't know if I can in good faith. And so that's, I guess, where I would leave it. But I would support this as moved or seconded as moved.
Obviously,
but if somebody wants to.
We've obviously had enough discussion, so why don't we just vote it? We might as well not turn it down. I'll vote for it. I just thought it would be a way to add something in there to perhaps get some additional money, but whatever. Not going to hold
Okay,
it.
so if I move it, then would somebody second it or
Second.
Second.
Jennifer? Okay. So I'll vote yes. Or is there any other discussion? John, is your discussion regarding this, or Les, your hand is also up? I just
Oh,
don't wanna
that's a
clock.
leftover. Sorry about that.
So my discussion was that I think we should go forward with this because it shows good faith. It shows that we're concerned about our employees at Town Hall and their well-being. And also, if there's a system that was put in for the church, and they have more people using their facility than we do at Town Hall. And if we find that it works, then I think we should go forward. That's all.
Is there any other discussion before we take the roll call vote?
I mean, there may be funds that would be available in the future for PFAS issues that can be recouped, but I mean, that's down the road. So let's try to get this issue taken.
Promises.
Right. No, but I'm just saying, let's get this taken care of. Okay.
So seeing last call for any other discussion, comments, seeing no other comments or discussion or hearing blurting out, I'll vote yes or aye. John?
Markowitz, aye.
LaParrie, aye.
Campbell, aye.
And Les?
I'm sorry.
I will entertain a motion to recommend the solar bylaw, the MS4 stormwater bylaw, the zoning recodification, and the MGL fire suppression.
Second.
I'll make that motion. We'll just say it's a motion I made.
Okay.
And so, is there any discussion on any of these? It stops at line 36.
Sorry, Wes, are any of these planning board articles?
Yes, they are.
These are all
Do we
the-
vote on other boards' articles?
Not planning board.
That's a good point.
Actually, that's a good point. So I will withdraw
So
my
the zoning
motion.
is,
The fire suppression
These are-
is us adopting the Mass General laws. So I will modify my original motion to recommend the MGL fire suppression. And do I still have a second?
second,
Okay. Is there any discussion about this? Does everybody understand what it is? So effectively,
That's
this
the,
allows-
that's the law that allows the fire chief to require sprinklers, correct?
That's right.
for certain types of housing.
So
Yes.
it's for, right,
When
Multifamily.
they are making modifications to it.
right.
Okay, so seeing no other discussion, I will vote aye. Then we have John.
Markowitz, aye.
Lepari, aye.
Campbell, I.
Fox, aye.
Okay. And then we have the FinCom bylaw. So I will move to recommend the moderator's proposal to modify the Finance Committee bylaw.
Second.
Second,
Nope.
Okay, so I want to say paper, rock, scissors, but you can pick one. It's fine. Is there any discussion around this on the select board? Okay. Seeing no discussion, we'll take a roll call vote. I will vote in the affirmative, aye. John?
Markowitz, aye.
Lepari, aye.
Campbell, I.
Fox, aye.
Okay. And then the sense of the meeting for the vote, so I'll entertain a motion to, is there any, I guess, discussion about the Sergeant Road bonding and or the sense of the meeting, or can we lump them all into one?
I make a move to recommend that the select board recommend the sense of the meeting motion regarding technical school membership and the Sergeant Road bonding article.
Second,
Second,
I
Is
can't
there any
actually
discussion?
remember our past practice of whether we recommend or not on sense of the meeting motion.
Select board
I think we're
typically
sponsoring this
has-
one.
Pardon?
Yeah. We're sponsoring this one.
we're
This is
sponsoring
fun.
this one.
Yeah, I know, so sponsoring and recommending.
Yep, well, that's fine. I mean, we do that on most of the other ones too. Is there any discussion outside of that on these? Okay, then doing a roll call vote. Folks, aye. John?
Markowitz, aye.
Jeff or Diana?
Lepari, aye.
Campbell, I.
Fox, aye.
Okay, great. Thank you, everybody. Thank you,
Wes,
Rajan, for
Wes,
keeping.
I'm sorry.
You guys,
Wait, wait.
I am confused.
Hold on.
Where did we end up on Article 5?
We haven't voted.
Article
didn't.
5 being the,
Budget.
Yeah, so what are we doing?
oh,
We're gonna have to
Another
have another
meeting.
meeting.
we're having another meeting at the end of this week, most likely.
Okay,
Wes,
Maria?
the MS for stormwater is a general bylaw, and I think you guys have to vote on that. It is the planning board. I think you guys are voting
Oh,
to
yeah.
give the, right? So it is yours.
Oh,
That's not
right.
a planning board one.
That's right.
Thank
Right.
you.
Okay.
Okay,
Move to
you,
recommend the
Maria.
MS4 stormwater article.
Second.
Does anybody not like stormwater?
you say, you think it's a general bylaw?
We're giving up our power to the planning board.
Yeah.
Is that-
Yeah, oh yeah, because we decided to relegate that to them. That was a general bylaw to say, you planning board people are better at this than us. So, does anybody
Go
have
for
any comments or questions other than that? Nope. Okay, great. So I will vote affirmative, and then we have John.
Markowitz, aye.
Lepari, aye.
Campbell, I.
Fox, aye.
Knowing that we have to have another meeting, I believe that Thursday is the earliest meeting that we can have subsequent to this, and or Friday. My intention would be to have a brief meeting to discuss the unvoted items and those only. Is there a better time or day for people, whether it be morning and or afternoon, evening? I am open to each on Thursday and Friday, but just wanted to ask the board their opinions.
I will make myself available.
I will too. I mean, morning or afternoon is fine with me. I think it's refresher anyway. There's no reason not to do it. We could do it 10 a.m. as long as everyone's available.
I cannot do 10, so it'd either be between, or I mean, unless somebody else wants to do it, it would be between, I would say 8 and 9,
That's fine.
or anytime after 5 for me on both of those days.
8 or 9 is fine too.
The only day I could possibly make it would be Friday, and that's iffy because I'm going to be driving.
If you
Okay,
have it at 8, you're gonna need have the agenda posted basically by 7:30 tomorrow. So
8 on Friday or 8 on Thursday? So 8
if
on,
you do it on
8 on
Thursday, yeah, I'll have to get it posted by at least like 7:30 tomorrow.
Okay, so Les, you're leaving what day to drive back?
I'm going to be driving for 2 days after tomorrow.
Okay, so Thursday to Friday.
Thursday is not likely.
Not a good
Friday is
day.
maybe.
Okay,
Yeah,
so
we
what
have to
about
get the warrant to
Friday
printer.
Pardon?
on what Friday?
Friday the
Yeah,
1st, April Fools, right?
Okay.
But you know, I don't
So
have
can
to
we
be
have
there.
actually,
If
Les,
it
you should
works
be able
better
to
for everybody
call in.
else, just go ahead.
Well, Les, you can also call in if you would like to for said meeting at 8 on Thursday, or
Yeah, just
can
go,
even do
yeah, go
9
ahead
so
and
long
post it,
that
and
I
I'll
have.
see what I can do.
Okay. So do we want to say 8:30 then to kind of give people some time?
yeah.
Okay.
Which,
So this will
which
be a
day are
very
we
short
doing?
agenda. Thursday at 8:30. Does that work, John?
Do we have
Or
time
is
to
that too late?
post? Well, I'm taking the week off. I've got,
So Rajan, we can literally just remove all of the stuff from this agenda, except for the unrelated warrant articles. So everything except for item 7, and then just post that. Is that
Yeah, that's
from
fine.
today's? Okay. I can
Yeah,
do that
so
for you if you'd like, and
it's
remove
due-
everything because I love deleting.
So we have to have the final warrant to the printer on Friday morning. So if we vote this, we also have to have all the recommendations for everything. So if we go through and assign those now, then we can have those in there.
I think that will be sufficient. Rajan, do you have any pushback? And please feel free to raise this. This is a free and open space. And not right now is totally fine as well.
Well,
The question is, can everybody get everything in time by at least like Thursday evening, by the close of business on Thursday? That's the bigger question.
I think
I
other
won't
than
have
the-
time to do any others than I've already done. I've written the recommendations for the 3 articles that
Yep.
came from me, but I won't have time to do
Well,
anything
we need
else.
to look, we need to go through and look because some of them I pulled from previous warrants. Some of them I went ahead and wrote, some of them Les sent me, some of them Wes sent me. So we don't have as many as you would think.
so I will write the con for the fire and for the police.
I will write the
I
pro
guess
for
it's
the police.
I have,
There
well,
is
I
no
haven't,
police.
we haven't voted yet, but
Or the fire. So I
Budget.
will write the fire addition to staff. Wes can
All
write
right, can
that,
we
and
just
then-
go through in order?
Can we? Yeah, can
Sure.
we go down
yeah,
the list?
let's do that.
So if we start with Article 3,
let's say row 6 or row.
what? Oh, I'm sorry. The article, row 6, which is the setting the salaries. So Wes did the minority. He already sent me that. And I wrote the majority feels that stipends should be available to those who choose to take them.
Yep.
Does anybody,
Okay.
That's fine.
Becky, did you have something before?
My only thing is, are you guys gonna go ahead and then put these in order tonight and figure out what goes on consent and what doesn't go on consent tonight?
Well,
can't
consent
do
would have to
cons-
be whatever you guys vote unanimously. as
Well, okay, but here's the thing is Becky has to actually have time to do this, and if you guys aren't meeting again till Thursday morning, she's not gonna have time Thursday afternoon then to try and put in your
We
recommendations.
only have 3 that don't have our vote on it for this, and you have our votes. And so anything that's not unanimous from the FinCom,
So I'm gonna try to, Becky Neville, I'm
Okay.
gonna try to get, I've already contacted Becky Harris about getting the article or the warrant so I can put in our recommendations for our votes.
Right,
and
and
all
I'm gonna
that
do mine
stuff.
after that, and that's fine. I'll
Yeah.
do mine tomorrow night. And then I
Okay.
suggested to her, we meet again Wednesday morning to regroup.
Yep,
But that's a responsibility of the select board. If you're passing it off to Becky and the FinCom, that's fine. I just want to make abundantly clear that this is your job to
no.
number
So I
the
guess that's
consent
fine.
agenda.
We can number them tonight, and that's totally fine. And we can also take things out of order because numbering doesn't really matter too much. Neither does I don't want to say the consent agenda, because you can even pull articles out of order into the consent agenda as well.
Right, but like bonding can't go in the consent agenda. So like this,
That's correct.
so just so we make sure those things don't wind up in consent, because then we'd be in trouble.
Yeah. But so I guess my intention would be anything that the select board was unanimous on and the FinCom are unanimous on would go in the consent agenda, regardless of their numbering and or identifier.
Okay,
Is there other opinions? Because I'm open to hearing reasons why we
yeah,
have
I
that.
just don't know that we can number anything until we get everyone's votes, so. So, should we just do the recommendations for right now? And if everyone
let's do
can
that. Let's do
consent
that.
me ones that you've been assigned, I will make sure that they get in there.
Yeah, and so is there any reason that any people on the select board cannot commit to having recommendations they're assigned to by Wednesday evening?
No.
Like meaning like 7 o'clock, let's say, Wednesday evening. So that way by Thursday, we have pretty much a Thursday morning, we have pretty much a semifinal warrant, minus the 3 that we have. And if you think that you're going to be on the outskirts, I don't want to say outskirts, please prepare a dissent and or a consent. Actually, I'll take these as my responsibility for the ones that are unvoted to do the pro, if that makes it easier for people. And if people think they're going to dissent, please prepare a dissent.
Yeah, your con.
Yeah.
A con, okay.
And then we can combine them after. It's a lot easier to remove text than it is to add it and or think of it at the
Yep.
last minute.
Yep. Yep.
Okay.
All right, so Article 4,
um,
the personnel plan.
Yeah,
Does somebody want to write that?
I can. It's fine.
Personnel.
And then I said I would take the unwritten ones, which is the town operating budget. And so from our discussion tonight, my intention would be to write what I said. And if somebody has anything for the pro, please bring that for the meeting on Thursday as
The
well.
pro or the con?
The pro. And
Okay,
so I said my intention would be to support this, assuming everything that we've seen up to date is so far. However, I do have issues, but I do support the budget in general. And then
okay.
the collective bargaining agreements, that'll be me as well.
And that's deferred.
Yep, Wes deferred.
Mhm. So I'll write the con on this. The fire.
And I said that I would write this as well.
You're writing the pro and Diana's doing the con.
Correct.
Yep.
Okay,
I love writing.
good.
I mean, so an awful lot of these articles really are kind of self-explanatory. Where we
Right. So for
There's
associate
nothing wrong
planner,
with putting-
I'll take
associate
that.
plan- Oh, I already did. So.
Oh, you did?
What
Okay.
I'm, what I'm saying is
Okay.
that I wrote, the select board supports this article for the reasons stated in the summary. The addition of associate planner will be beneficial to the town as it will provide necessary support to this very busy and important department.
Okay,
Yeah, and I would also just make sure you add to the organization at large, because we also want to make sure that we're taking a bigger picture as well.
Okay, all right.
Because it will provide support to other boards and committees that may not have the ability to seek grants and or other funding.
Okay,
'Cause that
do you
was one
want
of
to
the
edit?
items that was brought up.
All right, do you
Yeah,
want to edit it then, Wes?
Yep, sure, I will.
Okay. Oh, you're so
so
much.
Jennifer, have you sent us what you've written or? not
It's
yet?
in the
It's in the
packet.
warrant that's submitted.
Okay,
It's all in the packet.
the one we have tonight, the
Yeah.
latest one.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay,
So the next one, what I wrote was this, for all of them, I wrote as stated in the summary, and then I would add a sentence. So this was one measure to implement the staffing model that was prepared to determine where additional support was needed at town hall.
okay, and Jennifer, I might add a statement to that. Just
Okay,
from some of the work
if you
I've
want to
done,
edit
okay?
that, you go right ahead.
Okay,
I am not married to any of that language.
okay,
We can just, I have no objection to leaving this one as is, saying as written in the recommendation, along with the, however, let me add to the cable services and equipment one, saying that, because let me edit it. Because I do believe that we will in the future need to supplement it with future warrant articles, but just to prepare people, so people can't say, you're springing this on us.
You go right ahead.
Okay. OPEB and trust, that's pretty straightforward. Does anybody have any objections to other than so I guess from here on out, if you have objections to other than reasons stated in the summary in the article, you are volunteering for editing and or writing.
I think that's really sufficient for most of these.
Okay. So then we'll just say as is. The revolving funds, any objections? Okay. The grant. Is there any below here that anybody has any?
No, I think something was written in there, wasn't there, Jennifer, about thanking, I think we should say something like thanking the.
It does.
So you're volunteering.
Yeah, it does.
No,
Okay.
no. Les wrote something, and it does thank the person.
Right.
It's-
I really thought I remember seeing. that.
Yes, you are correct.
Okay. All the rest of them are pretty straightforward, except for Sergeant Road, the 400,000. Did you write anything for that, Jennifer?
Yes, the warrant is in a different order. So let me just see.
right,
What I wrote there. And I wrote the same thing for the CPC and the bonding. So if anybody wants to, hold on. Sorry, it's just trying to find the right one. Okay, just found it. So the select board recommends for the reasons stated in the summary, we have few parcels of land left in town that have been valued as highly for conservation and forestry. As this parcel is connected to others, it will help with flood control and animal habitats. We're grateful to the parties and individuals involved who worked so hard to provide creative funding options from a combination of grants and private contributions. The select board realizes that many of these funding sources remain unknown and the actual cost may be lower, but that we should fully fund both the CPC funding and bonding articles to preserve this important parcel of land. So if anyone wants to edit it,
that's great.
Here, here. I think it's
That's
well
great.
done.
good.
Yep, thanks, Jennifer.
Mm-hmm.
So the CPC conservation and cemetery are as is, Rajan. And then Jennifer has the 400,000 Sergeant Road CPC.
Yes. For the cemetery, I said the town cemeteries are historical, meaningful sites in town. We need to preserve them. Using CPA funding is an excellent way to do this.
Mhm.
So you can read through, and if you have changes to any of them, you're more than welcome to edit.
As is, until we go down and then just say, if you have any changes, please have them by Wednesday evening.
Yeah.
Unless somebody has anything in particularly. Yeah. And so I think that I don't mind taking the MGL fire suppression recommendation unless, John, you want to take it as you've been doing a lot of the work on it.
Yeah, no, I'll take that. I'll
Okay,
take that.
so,
I thought it was
row
almost done
36,
anyway.
John, row 36. Yep, that'll be John.
There are some that I have not written.
I wrote the
Anything for-
FinCom bylaw one, so 37.
Good.
So if people want to read it and review it and or make recommendations, that's
Right.
fine. Just please
Yeah,
have them
you
by
wrote that
Wednesday
in there,
evening.
Wes? You wrote that?
It is already in there. Yep.
Okay.
Diagram. Okay. So
Sounds good.
I think
So
Are
this
there
any other
bonding was also Jennifer, the same thing.
I'm
Wow.
sorry, what?
The sergeant road bonding at the end is Jennifer. She put that. Same.
Yeah, I wrote this,
39.
I wrote the same thing for both. And I can write the sense of the meeting for the VOTEC. I haven't written that one yet. And one of the other ones that we don't have anything is amending Article 11 of the town meeting, providing funding to the Water Resources Committee.
I already wrote that.
Yeah, there's something in there.
Yes, there is. There should be. Pull up the warrant.
You know what, though? I think what you
That's
did
fine.
is you sent me the Water Resource Committee recommendation.
Yeah, we need to, select board needs to have a recommendation independent of the water resources.
I thought I did. Can you please pull that up?
Maybe you did. It's not
Let's-
in there.
let's review it.
Could be.
Put it as
I'll
tentative
look
list,
again.
And then, oh God.
Yeah, there were so many emails last. Sorry if I missed that.
Mhm.
Oh, wait a minute. Let me just.
Oh, it's okay. I don't know if we need to go through it now. I think we have the general onus, and you can reach out to Jennifer regarding this one and take it offline. Unless
No, there's no
Is there
select
anything-
board recommendation on that one.
no, so
Right,
that's
but that
fine.
doesn't
We don't
mean
know
let's
what.
say-
Let's send
No,
Jennifer.
I'm just,
We'll figure that out after.
it's page
You're right.
90 in the packet.
I think I did not write one for the select board.
Okay.
All right,
that
I'll
something
write
you
you
can do,
something very
Les?
simple.
Okay. Thank you. Anything else, I guess, for these recommendations? And so just to reiterate, please have them by Wednesday evening, or hopefully by end of day Wednesday. My goal is to have them to you, Jennifer, Becky, and Rajan by end of day tomorrow, just so that way you guys are able to compile this for Wednesday and not have to suffer from my procrastination.
Okay, and Wes, can you send us what you've just put together here?
Rajan, yeah, Rajan has this, but he can send this out after this meeting and or I
Yeah,
can take screenshots.
Yeah, I'll send it.
You want me to take a screenshot?
I'll just send the spreadsheet out after the meeting.
Okay. Thank you, Rajan.
Yeah.
And Becky, do you need a copy of it too, or?
No, I was keeping track as you went along. I've got my own sheet.
Okay,
Thank you.
no problem.
And lastly, I guess, so saying nothing else, did you enjoy your day off, Rajan?
Yeah, I did.
Good.
Okay.
It seems so long ago.
Well, thank you. Okay, wonderful. Is there anything else, I guess, for tonight?
I couldn't hear some of the conversation earlier. I want to make sure I got the right day for our next meeting. Are we meeting Thursday evening or Friday evening?
Thursday morning.
Thursday morning. Okay.
Yeah. And so, because you said that you would be driving, and so
Yeah,
I'm available to even get up at 7 a.m. Actually, we can't do that because we need to post it by 7
Right.
in the morning.
So
and
8:30
so 8 or
a.m.
8:30.
on Thursday. Okay.
Yeah. Unless you're able to call in. And so that is fine. Please do not feel like you need to have Zoom open unless you need it personally. So, any other questions or discussion? I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So
I
moved.
make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Okay. Taking no discussion. Jennifer.
Campbell, I.
Liz,
Fox eye.
John,
Markowitz, aye.
Diana,
Hurry, aye.
and folks, thank you all.
Thank you,
Thank
guys.
you.